Welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. I'm your host, Jeffrey Card. Next to me right here is Eric Spevacek. He is a technical artist on the Undead Labs team, and we'll let him explain what that is in just a second. But we've also got with us P1 Gamer.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
So P1 Gamer is one of our most avid streamers. He gives us lots of attention and love, and so we wanted to return the favor and get him here on our stream to kind of show us how it works. Because Eric and I, we test this game out a lot for work. We probably don't play it at home as much as a lot of folks out there do, and so we want to get some advice from P1 Gamer about how to do this. So everybody say hi to him.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
So we've got the Twitch chat, the Mixer chat. We've got Megan Bishop and Jen. They're both going to be following you guys and funneling your questions to us. So if you've got any questions for us, any questions for P1, just say them in the chat, and they'll funnel them to us, and we'll pay attention to it. In the meantime, we have got a game to play. So Eric has just brought us over to the Bridge Fort, which is actually secretly my favorite base. Even though it's not the biggest base or the most versatile base, I got like a special place in my heart for it because it's one of the first places we got any concept art for. Yeah. So it's like this base was sort of my image of State of Decay 2 in my head for a really long time. So, so P1, what's like your favorite base? What's your favorite place to hang out in this game?
Mine, well, for Mega Valley, I love the church. What is it called?
The church on the hill?
Yeah, the church on the hill. Yeah. That's one I like because it's got that big, huge tower on top.
Yeah,
and I rarely get any kind of zombie raids. Maybe like one.
Oh, that's right. And you can actually I think if you wanted to cause a zombie raid on purpose, you can use that steeple to get them.
Yeah, definitely use that.
Yeah, but I love climbing up inside that tower. That was actually one of the coolest things because that was one of the first bases that we actually built in the game, and so like that was sort of looking out of those out of the steeple, like seeing how huge the world felt around us was like one of the moments where like, oh wow, this environment's really coming together.
Yeah.
So real quick, Eric, I was chatting before the show about the fact that I am bad at explaining what a technical artist does. I know you've explained this on the show before, but we got a lot of new people, and so do you mind explaining what your job is?
Yeah, so technical art is a pretty broad discipline. The key sort of description of it is that we work between sort of the engineering and art staff to solve interdisciplinary problems. So if artists want to, they want things to look a certain way, and engineering has certain constraints on their end of like how it needs to perform or the sort of the way things, the way that they want things to work. We sort of form a bridge in that communication and help sort of play diplomacy for both teams and come up with some novel solutions to try to solve some of the harder problems in gaming.
So you've kind of got the skills for both sides. Like you can do art and you can do technical stuff. And so do you actually end up building a lot of things like the shaders and the stuff like that the artists use?
That's right. So what we'll often end up doing is sort of setting up systems for artists. So we might not be the person building the final tree model or the final bush model or something, but we'll set up sort of the shaders and the materials for basically the wind system so that artists can go in and paint in wind to things where they want it, or give them the tools to be able to procedurally place foliage throughout the world. So it's kind of like a broader picture level of it.
So if anybody's got any questions about what Eric does on the team and what technical art is all about, feel free to ask your questions in the chat. We'll try to answer them. In the meantime, so P1, when you're starting a brand new game of State of Decay 2, like what are you usually thinking about? What are you usually looking for?
For most, it's parts.
You just as many parts as you can.
All the parts.
Yeah, as many as I can. Ammo, any weapon that I can use. Just find any kind of weapon.
And what do you have in mind with the parts specifically? Is it so that you can keep your weapons and your vehicles in good repair?
Yes, that's I got to think of the car first, because I'm not trying to walk out and just get all these plague zombies everywhere.
Yeah, in our old game that we used to be playing on the stream, like I got into a situation where I had no mechanic, so I couldn't build new toolkits, and all of the vehicles were like on fire outside my base, and there was like absolutely nothing I could do about it. So I'd actually spent some time at home, like building up, like recruiting somebody, finding a mechanic textbook, like teaching them the skill. It's a big deal. So yeah, you got to get on that. All right, so you guys, where are you guys headed?
I think we're gonna go to the
this trader mission
detached garage, yeah, to see what luxury goods she's got.
Cool. So, for those who don't know, we've got a DLC pack coming out in just a...
Double
God!
Whoa. Oh, man.
So intense. Oh, by the way, the only gun you have is
Oh,
the...
no.
it's one of the Independence Pack guns. Why can't I think of its name? The Starshank. You got the Starshank, I think. Oh, no, you had the Pyro Launcher. It was the previous character who had the Starshank.
Yeah.
So, P1, you got us covered there with the guns?
Yeah.
So this is the very beginning of the game. So all I had basically was Independence Pack stuff.
Okay.
Because you can get that right at the beginning of the game. So I've got more Independence Pack stuff than I have other stuff.
Oh yeah, it's this one.
Careful, you don't turn too far to the right. It's going to blow up.
Oh.
So anyway, so we've got a new DLC pack coming out in the next couple of weeks on September 12th. It's called the Daybreak Pack. We actually showed the demo of it last week. So if anybody hasn't seen that yet, you can check us out on YouTube at Undead Labs and see the video there. We had Andy Collins and Quentin Resin walking us through how Daybreak works. It's like a sort of a base defense multiplayer mode, and it's pretty cool. We've only got a couple weeks left before that comes out,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
coming out soon.
that's kind of intense. So we're not showing that today because we got to play something that's actually out in the wild that we can play with P1. So we're playing the vanilla game. But yeah, what are you you looking forward to the Daybreak Pack, P1? It's kind of a loaded question. Like, what are you going to say to us, right?
Oh yes, I've been counting days and I'm ready for it. I got like the best team.
That's yeah. Yeah, see, that thing really depends on who your team is and you know, like how good they are at this game. Because it's a big challenge just even for our QA team to beat that mode. They can beat it, but it took them a while to get to the point where they could actually do it, fairly consistently. You take some serious skills. So, folks that have gotten to the point in this game where where the game's starting to feel a little bit too easy to them, try Daybreak for a little while, and hopefully that'll tide you over. So Dan31 wants to know: do you guys make models out of like Legos or real life material to get an idea of scale, like when you're trying to build art, or are there other tools that we use to sort of decide how big and small things should be?
Yeah, I mean, getting scale right is definitely one of the earliest steps in the process, because if you get that wrong, all of the detail as you fill in the world is going to feel, it's going to feel bad. It's not going to feel like things are the way they should be. And so as early on as possible, you definitely want to use tools like gray boxing and Lego blocks to sort of sketch what you think would be a good scale and use that space to play around in it.
But you got to really like run around in there. Like you got to spend some time in there to really tell if the scale is right. Because did you ever play the original Max Payne?
I didn't.
So okay, the original Max Payne was hilarious because you run around in there and it all feels normal. It feels like, oh yeah, this feels like I'm really in New York and it's beautiful. And then if you actually stop and get the camera close to things and pay attention, everything is enormous. Your character is this little tiny dude, and all of the doorways are like the size of a room. But you don't notice it when you're playing. But when you stop and pay attention, you realize, of course, they had to get the camera in. They had a lot of constraints on them, trying to make this stuff work. And so they actually picked a scale that was wrong for reality because it was right for their game.
Interesting.
Yeah, do you find that do you feel like we've done any of that in this game, or are we pretty close to straight up real world scale?
I feel like we try to be pretty close to real world scale in general. I mean, yeah, for us, a lot of it for like a lot of the interiors, we had to pick a size that worked for the buildings and for the rooms so that the camera would, behave nicely when you're in these tight, cramped spaces like I am right now. So before we got any of like the set dressing and stuff in with like the desks and the pieces of paper and all of that, like we had to get the building size right. And I do think, yeah, a lot of the initial measurements for that were based on real-world measurements that we tried to hit.
I feel like the ceilings in these rooms might be a little bit higher than they are in reality.
Yeah, I mean,
but we got to get a camera in there, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, not everyone's got nice, like 12-foot high ceilings here. You know?
Though I would love that in my house.
Oh, yeah.
Could fit so much more crap in my house if I had more ceiling room.
Wow.
So, Blaze Experience wants to know for Eric. So, do you sort of mediate if an artist creates a piece of the game, but a technical person can't build it for a certain reason? Like, are you there mostly there to help them find the solution, or to like determine what can and can't be done, or?
I guess it's kind of a mix, right? I mean, education is a huge part of our job. We're constantly working with artists and helping them level up their skills, whether it's showing them new techniques that are common in the industry or whether it's teaching them in-house tools that we've built for them. So we're constantly working with them. If there's any gaps in knowledge or things that are confusing with their day-to-day work, we're always trying to make their lives better.
So, Wand Expert E wants to know, will we ever be able to change the weapon attachments? Now, I'm not sure quite what they're asking, because certainly the muzzle attachments that you can put on the ends of guns can be changed, right? You can remove one that's already on there and you can put a new one on. I think when you've got your inventory open and you hover over that particular weapon, we prompt you with the ability, I think it's like the right trigger maybe or the left trigger, to remove an attachment that's there and replace it with a new one. There are types of attachments though, like scopes, for instance, that you can't change. And that was mostly that was a user experience focused decision because our game is complicated. There's a lot of different moving parts all at the same time, and the more deep we make each one of them, the more it has the potential to distract from all of the others and to make it more difficult to play the game as a whole. And so we had to make some very careful decisions about how complicated to make each part of the game. Because if you had an elaborate gun customization system, for instance, that would take time and attention both on our end and on the player's end away from everything else in the game that's supposed to be good. And so we end up having to make these judicious decisions to say, okay, we're going to allow you to attach muzzle attachments to the ends of guns, and that's as far as we're going to go, because if we go much farther, this becomes the game about guns instead of the game about zombie survival. So we were very careful about that kind of thing, and so that's why there's some limitations in that area, because we want the game to feel balanced, where it's kind of about everything instead of being too focused on any one system. So P1 was saying that his favorite base on this map in Cascade Hills is the church. What about the other maps? Do you have a favorite base in each of them?
Drucker County, is that what is that one? The Knight's Inn.
Oh, the drive-in, the Knight's Drive-In?
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I love that one.
That was another one of the very first ones he did. In fact, we back when we were developing this game in a different engine, that was the one base that we actually built at the very beginning to sort of prove out that we could make this game at all. It had the pink battlements and everything, and it was kind of like...
The theater was nice.
Oh yeah, the theater's cool. And when it's like, it's funny, like when it's one of 20 different bases, whatever number of bases we have, it's like, oh yeah, that's a real interesting weird one. But when it was the first base, the only base we had, we're like, is our game about pink castles? But it's cool. But there was always a kind of a master plan. There was going to be a nice variety of different bases, and each one of them really benefits from standing out that way. So Expert Wanderer says that their favorite is the container fort, whereas Honeybee Sweet likes the strip mall in Drucker County.
That's a good one too.
Let's see here.
Sure thing. It's yours. I appreciate that. Sure thing. Take care.
Oh, let me get that one real quick. I'll get that one. There we go.
Oh yeah, I missed that.
And I was like, wait a minute, there's pizza right there. I gotta get that.
Gonna stop by the base, drop all this off.
So Bilbo grabbed Bilbo and Twitch grabbed the idea of a zombie survival game and said, I want to play a game that's actually zombie survival, where I'm a zombie and I'm trying to go around and eat as many brains as I possibly can and try to avoid getting headshotted by a bunch of humans. I think they made a game called Stubbs the Zombie back in the day.
That's what I was thinking about.
That was, I think, you were more of like a zombie commander in that game, I think. That weren't you like raising and commanding other zombies? Or am I misremembering that?
I don't remember, honestly. Yeah, that came out forever ago, right? Like,
it was it was like original Xbox, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So old school. Oh, are you getting this base?
Oh, what'd you say?
Are you getting this one?
Are we getting which one?
The one we're at right now. Or we're going back to the. Oh, you already got it. Never mind.
I think we're already in the space.
Yeah. We claimed this one a bit ago.
So, by the way, I appreciate Derek Blaze is over on our Mixer chat. He's answering questions from folks. Dramus18 came in here asking about how to get people to recover from injuries, and basically the answer that Derek gave is either you have to level up your infirmary to level 2, and then anybody with an injury who's hanging out in your base will slowly recover from their injury while you're not playing them. But if you can't afford to upgrade to an infirmary 2. Then you get there's also a facility mod that can do it. So Honeybee Sweet asks, why can't I use the infirmary when I'm playing in somebody else's game? So there are certain moves, there's certain facility actions you definitely can't perform. Things like building and destroying facilities is something that isn't going to work because we don't want to give you that kind of control over somebody else's base, which they put a lot of hard work and effort into. But they're specifically asking about making Plague Cure. I thought that you could make Plague Cure in somebody else's infirmary. Am I wrong about that? Because if you can't, that seems like something we should look into. Because I think the intent was you should be able to craft consumables and stuff in other folks' bases. So I'll make one of my notes about that. I send myself notes sometimes to check up on things when we're doing the stream. So, can I make Plague Cure as a client? Question mark.
Ready to head out to the brewery?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, like the last couple of games that I've seen, the Brewers are the very first enclave that show up. I'm not exactly sure what's up with that. I mean, they got different names sometimes. I think the other game I was watching, it was the Bootleggers, but it's basically the same story. We've just got these big, massive lists of names that different kinds of enclaves can have. So that's actually one of the more fun parts of the game is coming up with these huge lists. I just showed another designer on the team how to make traits for the first time, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the most fun thing ever! Why didn't you let me do this before?" Because you just sit there and you think of, you come up with what you want the traits to do. Like, say you've just invented a new skill and you want some traits to give that skill to a character. You just got to think, well, what are all the different life experiences that could cause somebody to have this particular skill? And you end up coming up with some really weird stuff, and it can be a lot of fun. So Challenger 4 Gaming has got a question. It's more for the audio team, but I think maybe you and I will be able to answer this. They ask, why do I always hear coyotes, peacocks, and frogs in the game randomly? Am I legitimately going crazy? Well, so the question first is, do you have peacocks, coyotes, and frogs around your house, Challenger? Because if you do, that might not be the game. That might actually be peacocks, coyotes, and frogs. But they said, if not, when can I expect to have a pet peacock at my base and a coyote follower? So I believe that the audio team actually has tools that allow them to, in different locations on the map, decide what kind of ambient audio you're going to hear. And I think they can also vary it by time of day. So I'm pretty sure that... So the Tech Art team doesn't have much to do with audio, right?
No, we've done a few tools to help them place those audio volumes, but yeah, for the most part, we work pretty independently.
Because they're placing them using kind of the same sort of tools that the artists use, right? They're still in the Unreal editor, going around placing stuff. So if you know how to set up something for an artist, you know how to set up something for an audio engineer in there.
Yep.
But yeah, so depending on where you go, in fact, they used to have this sound. I don't know. I think it's still in a couple places in the game where if you get close to some trailers, it sounds like there's a zombie pounding trying to get out. But the trailers can't be opened. And so you just sort of like can hang out there, just get slowly freaked out that there's a zombie about to burst out into your face. Okay, so Han Solo Dolo has a loaded question for P1. He wants to know what you wish could be added to the game, P1.
Oh, one of my things that I would really love is to have some kind of shooting in the back of a truck.
Oh, like, be able to ride in the back of the truck and shoot zombies as you're going by?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that'd be nice. That actually would be good.
Yeah, that was actually something that we thought of a lot early on, and the reason why we didn't do it was mostly because of the animation costs. Because animating a character to be able to, if a character's just standing there vertically on the ground, it's really easy to turn them around and make them do stuff. We've already learned how to do little foot shuffles and stuff, so they can aim in any direction. Their upper body can go like this, and it's really easy to aim any direction you want to. When you're sitting in a car or leaning out a window, the animation of making that character move around and realistically aim their gun in every direction, correct me if I'm wrong about this, is more complicated, and it's a lot of animations to put on every character. Is that like...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super involved on the animation side of things, but I mean, yeah, there's a lot of work to go into making it feel right. Again, it comes back to the feel where it's like, sure, we may have animation while walking around or standing feeling right, but doing it from a car is almost like an entirely different mode of play.
And we're actually at this point where I believe we've kind of tapped out our room for adding new animations to our characters at this point. Is that about right?
We're definitely tight. I mean, we're investing a lot of resources into making more room for things, so that we're able to keep adding more animations and be able to deliver on stuff like that in the future. But yeah, the fixed memory constraints on the consoles is definitely something we have to keep in mind when we're adding stuff.
So that's always one of the things that's rough, because when you say something like P1, I would love to be able to shoot guns out of these cars too. It's one of the first things that I imagined, like, as we were very early working on pre-production on this game, was like, wouldn't it be great if you could just ride along in a car and be that's what you should be doing in co-op, right? You're playing co-op in a game with cars and guns. Like, why am I not shooting guns out of the windows of these cars? And that was like one of the first things I wanted to. But it's like, you whenever questions like that come in, you're always just like, oh man, I would love to add that to the game. But then, then you go back to the team, you're like, so what if we added this to the game? And you find like 9 different reasons why it's impossible. And so the thing that's a miracle, honestly, is when anything, like when you've got a game that is at this point where it's so completely, it's full of content and full of features. Trying to figure out how to add one more thing is always this enormous challenge. Let's see here. So Blaze Experience wants to know if there's like a favorite piece of art or something in the game that you had a hand in that you were particularly excited about. That either was fun to make or turned out really well.
I mean, my favorite art that just the art guys have done is all the fun signs for all the businesses. I mean, they're awesome, right? Like, everything is so charming. They always crack me up. They come up with puns for them. I mean, they're pretty awesome. So
you guys actually gave them a tool that allowed them to quickly make custom signs with like English words on them and stuff like that, right? Like,
yeah, that's all right, actually. So that was one thing that TechArt had a hand in, is for a lot of stuff that has written text on it. We came up with this technology that allows the text to render really crisp without needing like a giant texture to render that text. Which saves more memory so that we can add more things like animations down the line. And that was a cool tool that, they can basically just type in on the keyboard text that they want to be authored onto a sign and do that for cheap without needing a ton of custom textures for every single case that they're going to be doing that.
So a lot of the signs that don't have like really fancy logos or something on them, but are just like, this is the name of this gated community, or this is the name of this neighborhood, or whatever. Like a lot of those signs use that tool.
Yeah, like the street signs, like that you see at the intersections.
Oh yeah.
Like here's a good example: is
those are really crisp.
Station Avenue. Even the stop sign, I think, is using that as well. So that's an example of something that we sort of built them a system, and then they went in and authored all the content and named all the stuff, named all the streets.
So Wand Expert says, in the German version of the game, the infestations are called Infektionsschard, which I'm saying that wrong, by the way, because I do not speak any German, which translates to infection stove. Apparently. So I'm not actually sure. So we don't do the translations in-house, and so I have no idea how to even chase down where they may have come from. I don't know if Wand Expert is actually German and is asserting that that's not a German term, or if Wand Expert just thinks it's funny the way that the Germans will come up with new words by just ramming 2 other words together, pretty wantonly, and so a lot of their words end up being just really interesting combinations of words you wouldn't expect. So McBurger445 wants to know if there's going to be any new vehicles or skins in the new DLC. And so no, Daybreak is that mode doesn't have any cars in it, and so all of the rewards and the special features that come out of Daybreak, even the ones you get in the base game, are all based on either items or themes or ideas that are developed in Daybreak. And so because Daybreak doesn't have any vehicles in it, we didn't add any new vehicles to the game to support Daybreak. So that was more of a thing. That was more the focus of the Independence Pack, as you can see here with this ridiculous American Eagle vehicle that's got flamethrowers on the sides. That's if you're looking for ridiculous vehicles, that's more of an Independence Pack thing, which is available already. By the way, speaking of, so we usually give away codes for the Independence Pack on our streams, but today, towards the end of the stream, we're going to be giving away this thing right here. This is a bag of stuff from Microsoft's party, their FanFest party at Gamescom this year. Speaking of German, this is from a German party, and it's full of all kinds of crazy stuff. I'll go through this bag later on when we're getting towards the end of the stream, and anybody who sticks around, you'll have a chance to win this thing. We'll ship it out to you with all this swag that you could have gotten if you went to Germany, but you can get it in your home wherever you are just by sticking around on our stream and maybe answering a trivia question. So, how are you guys doing? It's like you got a million zombies on you.
Yeah, you know, came up to this infestation, and it's looking a little bit trickier than I was expecting, but not too bad yet. Not too bad.
I gotta say, when you're starting a brand new game like this, and everything is intimidating because your characters aren't leveled up, you don't have a lot of great equipment, having a co-op partner along is extremely helpful.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. If there's not enough room on the top of that car, you might have to get P1 to shoot it off for you. Unless you... Oh, wait, you've got a decent gun now.
Got 2 bullets.
There you go. Okay, you gotta save one, though. You gotta save one bullet. Always.
Got one left, yeah.
Go for it!
Nice.
It's quiet now.
So, Mocha Java wants to know, is it possible to make the hordes as big as the hordes from State of Decay 1? So when the original State of Decay 1 came out, it actually had pretty small hordes. I'm pretty sure we increased the size of the hordes when we made the Year 1 Survival Edition for the Xbox One, because we actually had, we went from having the resources of an Xbox 360 to the resources of an Xbox One, which were significantly bigger. We were able to kind of amp things up, do a little bit more with it, and we were able to take Breakdown and sort of really increase what we were doing there too when we did the Year 1 Survival Edition. But then we kind of leveled up our visual game a lot when we got into State of Decay 2, and we were kind of back in the same predicament that we had with State of Decay 1, where, because there's a lot that goes into just rendering one zombie. Am I right? Like,
yep. It's not even just rendering, it's simulating. It's all the things you can do and how they interact with the world that has, a cost to it.
And so, well, like, if we could guarantee, like if we were a more traditional game, if we were not an open world game, and we were just sort of controlling, okay, you're in this area, and then you could go through a narrow little bottleneck, and then you end up in this area, we could probably get a lot more zombies into our hordes because we would have absolute control over how many zombies are in the game at any one time. But because this is an open world game, and you can basically kite as many zombies as you want to in as many places as you want to, we have to be very careful how many zombies we give you to work with. Because if we had, we could make one horde that had like 20 zombies in it, and we could probably handle that. But if you then led that horde, they got in front of that horde and ran that horde over to another horde that had 20 zombies in it, and then ran them over to an infestation that had 20 zombies in it, now we're starting to like really tax the system. We really can't afford to simulate and render all those zombies. And so because it's a big open world game, we have to be very conservative with the number of zombies that we give you control over, because really you end up being in control over your experience to a much greater degree than we're in control, and so we have to be kind of cautious, which can be kind of tough, like figuring out exactly how many things we can afford to give the player when they have that much control is kind of one of our bigger challenges.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, we have to be really clever, right, to cover all of those, sort of emergent situations that we don't have control over. So we have to make sure that under any possible circumstance, we try to keep, the game running smoothly and try to, not break immersion by just despawning all the zombies, when you reach a certain cap. We try to hide things where we can, and do tricks when you're not looking.
Yeah, things like the fact that, you're if you have a 10-person community, only about 6 of them are out in the world at any given time, and the other 4 are hiding someplace. We had a programmer spend a long time making a system for making sure that all the right people are available at all the right times for all the things that missions need them for and stuff like that. Huh. Genesis 7 says that they have a character that never gets tired. It seems that it seems fatigued in the community window, but their max stamina never decreases. That's interesting. So I think we do have traits in the game that sometimes we use to ensure that like a character doesn't get tired during a critical mission, or something like that. So it could be that your character, either they're actually in the middle of something right now where it's important that they not become fatigued, or maybe they accidentally ended up with that trait on them when we forgot to clear it somewhere, or maybe you quit the game at a weird time where something that was stuck on the character for a mission, the mission went away, but the thing stayed on the character. It's always possible for things like that to happen, and so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you just got some weird bugged character. But hey, enjoy it. If your character's stamina never goes down, that's if the bug's in your favor, like I'm way less embarrassed about those than the bugs that actually that hurt your experience more.
Waking up to kill some zombies. She's also got the Star Shank launcher.
So, yeah, she's got the Star Shank. I had so little to go on. So I wasn't paying attention. Did P1 drop those for you?
I think so.
Yeah, I somehow.
Oh, you need to take them to the storage.
Yeah, I couldn't really put it in the storage.
I think we have a bug. We might have had a bug with our latest release where we couldn't, where clients could not deposit rucksacks for hosts. I think there was some kind of bug with it that surprised us, and I remember writing a bug for it. I don't remember the details now because I've also written so many other bugs since then. But yeah, if you go over to the backpack icon over on the storage, and that's how you put those away.
Oh yeah, I do it through vehicles so much.
Oh yeah, that's true. When you get really used to doing it through vehicles, you kind of forget where to get it in your base, right?
Yeah. Still low on ammo though. Gotta be careful.
What? You need any ammo or anything? What kind of ammo do you need?
Let's see.
I think we had a 22 Devilette.
Yeah, 22 or...
The Arctic Warrior is, what's that, 7.62?
Yeah, 7.62.
The Arctic, yes. Which one would you rather use, the Devilette or the Arctic Warrior?
Yeah, let's do the Devil if you got the 22.
Oh yeah, I got all those.
Yes, people end up with a lot of 22 in this game.
There you go.
See, another one of the benefits of playing co-op is that if it's very easy to run yourself out of the ammo you use the most, but somebody else might have tons of that ammo, right?
Yep.
Like I actually try as much as I can to use the rarer ammo types like 357 and 44, just so that I can sort of build up a ton of the ones that are actually more common. Oh hey, P1 Blaze Experience has a question for you. He wants to know what your favorite location in the game is outside of the bases, like weird places to explore or interesting buildings or.
The fire station and that what was that empty? It looked like an office. I forget what it's called.
Oh,
but
the big giant like factory office place.
Yeah. That would be nice for a base.
So I think that's probably actually the fire station is our biggest request for a base. We actually had a plan early on to have a fire station base, and it just barely didn't make the list. Because we were thinking of doing one of those those training towers that firefighters use. It's like a big concrete building. They can set it on fire. They can all like climb up ladders and stuff on it. Like we were gonna have that as a watchtower outside of a fire station, but we just never got around to it. Maybe some future release.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice to have.
So McBurger445 wants to know, will there be any new facilities, mods, or any new skills for the Daybreak pack? That almost feels like you're trying to feed me the best possible question to answer. Because the way that Daybreak works is it's outside the main game. So you're not playing with your community. You're playing with a brand new community of Red Talon operatives. And so you don't have to worry about whether you get them killed or anything because they're not your people. But you're earning a currency called prestige while you're playing, and you're also unlocking new pieces of equipment that you can use in Daybreak. But at the same time, that prestige and those unlocked pieces of equipment, those also show up in the base game. So you go back to your normal community, and you've got a certain amount of prestige that you've earned in Daybreak, and you can call in a trader and use that prestige to buy stuff. So the stuff you can buy includes weapons, all the weapons and consumables and things that you use in Daybreak. You can bring those into the core game. But then there's also 4 facilities, 4 Red Talon facilities that are like, badass versions of existing facilities. Things like a barracks that fits in a small slot where you can stick 5 people in beds, things like that. And then I think there are also a couple of there are a couple of facility mods. I forgot what those are. We're gonna have Brian Giammi in here next stream next week, and he can probably give us all the details that he wants to share about the Daybreak rewards. So you definitely have facilities. I believe you have facility mods, and as far as skills go, each of those Red Talon operatives has got 4 new specializations that are kind of ridiculous. They kind of combine all of the powers of all of the specialty skills that you have in the core game. And so when one of the prizes you can get, one of the things you can spend prestige on when you're in the base game is recruiting a Red Talon operative. So you can use your radio menu, call in a Red Talon operative, they'll join your community, and then you can play as one of these characters with these ridiculous skills. So they don't start with all of the skills in place. You might have to level them up and specialize into them, but all those skills will be available. And even though they do level up a little bit slower than other people just because their skills are more complicated, they're still some of the most ridiculous skills in the game. So they're versatile. They can use any weapon. They can be sneaky. They can scout. They can... You can use close combat weapons better than other people. Like they're pretty badass. So hope that you enjoy that. They cost a lot of prestige. So just one of these characters will take multiple sessions of Daybreak to earn. Oh, Naya Cyan wants to know: do the deaths you get from Daybreak count towards your achievement for community deaths on the Xbox? So initially, when we implemented it, yes, they did, and I ended up streaming with some of our community members here on Twitch, just on my personal channel, and one of them called to my attention the fact that they basically were refusing to get the very last achievement of the game because they really enjoyed the fact that their hero stats for State of Decay 2 showed that they had 0 deaths. And I was like, oh, that's amazing, got 0 deaths, and they're even giving up an achievement so that they never, ever get a character killed. And it suddenly occurred to me, holy crap, this person will never, ever, ever play Daybreak. Because Daybreak involves constant death all the time. It's like, no one is going to play Daybreak and never, ever, ever die unless they are the absolute best State of Decay player in the entire world. And I was like, well, that's not going to be fun. These people, they put a lot of effort into keeping their death counts low. I don't want to ruin that for them. So we went back. So I wrote a bug, and the engineer who built our achievements went back and made it so that Daybreak deaths do not count towards the Sayonara achievement. They do not count towards the hero stat, the Tragic Deaths hero stat. So you should be able to play Daybreak and keep your perfect record intact and not have to lose anything. So that's, if I really don't want to ruin anybody's perfect streaks with Daybreak. So we're trying very hard to make sure that is not the case. Just reading over the questions we got, I'm pretty sure we're caught up here. So unless now I need to start paying attention to the actual chat. Yeah, so Challenger for Gaming is like, I will never die. So we'll have to see. So we're going to take that as a challenge. In some of our, we're still Daybreak, even though it's the last DLC we've announced so far, we're not planning for that to be our last DLC, and definitely not our last free update to the game. So keep an eye on us in the future. We are going to be trying as hard as we can to kill you in the future. Find new ways to kill your characters. If we have not managed to kill you yet, then just stay tuned. Yeah, we will find a way.
It's coming.
It's coming. Bilbo wants to know, what is my favorite bug that I've written up recently? I'll have to think about that one. Do you have any favorite bugs that you've run into?
Oh, there was a good one that I actually introduced during the development of Daybreak where when you would grapple zombies to hold on to them, you could, as you carry the zombie around the world, their legs would actually stay in place and they would stretch out and become this like ridiculously long, like amorphous, crazy.
It's like Gumby or something.
Yeah, it's like some Silent Hill crap, And so you could just drag them around and stretch them out forever. It was pretty terrifying, and we were like, we need to leave that in.
So that actually reminds me of one that I found just, it was like a few weeks ago when I was on my personal stream. I went after a zombie. I had a close combat weapon. I went after a zombie, and I grabbed them from behind, and I grabbed them under these weird circumstances. They were just somehow in the wrong mode where I successfully stabbed them in the head, and their head exploded, but they didn't register the death. And so I stabbed them, and then I just walked away, because I was like, well, I've killed this zombie. I didn't pay attention. I walked away, and then I turned my camera around to look behind me, and there was this zombie with no head just coming after me. And the way the zombies move, it kind of almost looked like a Titan from Attack on Titan. Just like, it looked this insane monster coming out. It was one of the freakiest things I've ever seen. So I actually recorded that. I took that stream recording, put it on YouTube so that I could share that video with folks on the team so that somebody could track it down and fix it. I think it's really hard to reproduce. So I don't know if we're going to fix that bug. You might run into that bug because it's just really hard to make it happen. I don't even know what set of circumstances led that to happen, that's one of the hardest parts with some of these bugs. I imagine you probably get a lot of these bugs where it's like, something weird has happened visually in the game. Nobody knows why.
Yep.
And trying to replicate the series of events that caused it is just like maddening.
Yeah, that's always the danger when we're always, trying to rush to get stuff in the last minute. When everyone's working on stuff and everyone's committing changes to the game, you lose track of, you lose that ability to correlate like, oh, this change went in and now the game has this bug. Because you've had, 100 people commit something, and so you have to sort of go through and try to figure out which change, caused that problem to happen.
Which is one of the problems. Like I know that audio glitch has really been bothering a lot of people, where the game will suddenly make a really loud noise and then all the audio will die out. The biggest problem we had with that is, it happens so randomly. We don't know when it started, and we don't know how to make it happen on our side. And so we've had an engineer working on that one for a while, and he's got some guesses about what might be happening, and he's put in some potential fixes, and now we're testing it to make sure that we believe he's actually fixed the bug. But it's hard to be 100% certain. When something happens that randomly, we could believe that we fixed it, and we believe that we played hours and hours and hours of the game, and nobody's seen the audio glitch again, so we've fixed it. And then we put it out there in the wild, and now millions of people play it, and it's totally still there. It's like completely possible to happen, right? And sometimes we just don't know. We don't know what's causing it, and it's hard to fix. So while you guys are looking around there, I'm going to start showing off what it is people can get if they win our giveaway today. So I'm gonna see here, what camera view should I use here? So I'm gonna look away from the game for just 1 second so I can start going through some of these things that we're gonna be giving away. So this is a little backpack style bag from FanFest at Gamescom, which was a party that Microsoft ran. While you guys are still playing, I'll be as quick about this as I can. We've got, let's see, what is in here? We've got a scarf. It's Xbox FanFest scarf, so you can, put that on your neck. We've got some kind of shirt. Some kind of shirt here. What is this? What does this look like? This it's a Rage 2 shirt. Have you seen the trailer for Rage 2? That thing looks freaking amazing. I didn't play the original Rage, but I am really looking forward to seeing what they do with Rage 2. What is this? This is a Mixer shirt. So there's definitely some people in our chat who are clearly Mixer users who might enjoy this. What else do we have? We've got a fake sleeve tattoo inspired by Sea of Thieves. Ooh. So I think it's like a nylon sleeve you can put on your arm. What else is in here? We've got, I think it's a Game Pass code in a nice little container. So you can, play State of Decay 2 and other games for free. And this is just a card of some kind. I don't know what that's doing in there. There is a Shadow of the Tomb Raider pin right there. There is a Fallout 76 bottle cap. And, of course, a State of Decay 2 pin. So if you're interested in collecting all of these things, you can try to win our giveaway. So let me stuff all this crap back in here. I mean, all these fine goods back in here. Oh, there's also some stickers bunch of Bethesda stickers. So there's that. Stuff all this in here. And then let's go into quiz mode real quick so you guys can actually try to win this thing. So, okay, so it is trivia time. It is time to win a backpack full of swag. So, are you guys ready? So, we got some quick State of Decay 2 trivia. The way this is going to work is when you know the answer, type it into the chat, and then Jen and Megan are going to put together the first several people who get the right answer, and randomly choose from one of you. Because there's different lag situations and different people's connections. We don't want your internet connection to determine whether or not you won. So there's going to be some randomness in there. But here is the question: which quirk skill grants both a health boost and a stack size boost? So this is one of the fifth skills, one of the weird, unusual fifth skills that you can get, for your character. So you can. I don't think this one is even in a skill book. So this is kind of a deep cut, but this is also a big fancy bag of swag. So we wanted to go with a deep cut. Derek Blaze, I know you know the answer to this one, so be careful what you say. But there we go. Oh yeah. So I think Derek's got it. So. People, we got a lot of guesses going out there. I've seen a couple of right answers. So I am not talking about the specialization on cardio. There's a specialization on cardio that gives you an encumbrance boost. That's not what I'm talking about. And there is a specialization on wits that gives you a stack size boost. That's not what I'm talking about. This is a fifth skill, a rare fifth skill. It's only got 1 star to it. And it gives you both a health boost and a stack size boost. So I'm going to just move away from this. I've only seen a couple of right answers. Okay, Twitch is starting to fill up with correct answers now. But there were some clear front runners there. So I'll leave it up to Jen and Megan to determine who's the rightful winner there. But anyway, we'll go back to the game here. We can see the game now again.
Just got distracted by the Juggernaut and bottomed out.
Oh no! Well, hey, we got a new option there, right?
Yeah, is that it?
Since patch 3.0,
right.
I don't know how well this is going to work with P1 though in the car. I've never tested it with a co-op person in the car.
To find out.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
It'll be fine. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Everything went better than expected.
Yeah, that actually was way better than expected.
Ooh, I want this.
Big boy, yeah.
Juggernaut? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so while Megan and Jen are tabulating the answers, we are going to check out this Juggernaut, see what we can do to him. Oh, so Burnin' Bars wants to know what zombie movies and shows influenced you guys the most when creating State of Decay 2? 2 freaks at once? Okay, this is going to be good. Oh, well, that Pharaoh went down way too fast.
You got...
So you've still got that 22 pistol, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a little bit rough.
A little bit.
That's not gonna help much against the Juggernaut at all.
There you go.
So neither Eric nor I were involved in the creation of the original State of Decay, which had plenty of its own inspirations that other members of the team used. We know that The Walking Dead was pretty popular. It was pretty influential. Night of the Living Dead was very influential. Dawn of the Dead was very influential. And really, the folks who were on the very original core of the very first team that built State of Decay were zombie movie aficionados, and they actually their penetration into zombie lore is much deeper than my own. I do love myself a good zombie show. My personal favorite is probably The Girl with All the Gifts, but. And so it's actually interesting. The thing we tried to do with State of Decay and with State of Decay 2 was get as broad an influence base as possible. Like, we really want this game to feel like it's a quintessential zombie survival game, not that it's inspired by one particular style of zombie. So we've got the Walking Dead rules where anyone who dies becomes a zombie no matter how they died. But we've also got the infectious disease that you'd expect from other parts of zombie lore. Where people have a disease that they die from that turns them into a zombie. We're trying to kind of reach out there and kind of grab all of those iconic elements of zombie lore. But you can definitely see some of the inspirations the recent inspirations in some of the names of our bases, like the Clarington House, the Vogel House, the Mazzara Farm. Those names all come from references within zombie lore. Okay, so we actually have a winner for our little giveaway. So let me switch back into quiz mode here. So the question was, which quirk skill grants both a health boost and a stack size boost? And the answer, which most of you eventually arrived at, was sewing. It's the sewing skill. So the idea is that a person who can sew can, keep their clothing in good repair and can add hidden pockets and stuff like that to their outfits, so they can carry more stuff and they can effectively have more health in combat. And the winner for that is Twitch for Kicks over on Twitch. So Twitch for Kicks, get in contact with Megan, or Megan will get in contact with you, and she'll figure out how to get this enormous bag of swag to you. So she'll try to get a mailing address for you, and this will be yours. So congratulations. Everybody congratulate Twitch for Kicks.
Congratulations, man.
So Twitch for Kicks actually has a question, which is there any chance we're going to have feral hordes at some point? So as we work on the problem of trying to increase the difficulty for folks that have been playing the game for a long time, that's the kind of thing that we'll be thinking about. It is tough, though, because I believe that ferals are more complicated than normal zombies, right? They have more animations, they've got more AI decisions that they have to make. And so it's a little more difficult to put ferals in the... Like, if we, having 20 ferals in a map is different from having 20 regular zombies in a map. But I have seen people who've used mods to just fill the world with ferals at all times. There's some really great videos on YouTube about that are fun. Like, people they've modded themselves unlimited ammo and then unlimited ferals. And so they're just running around with pistols that never run out, just murdering the heck out of as many ferals as they can. Which is good training for Daybreak, because even though there's not a lot of ferals all at once most of the time in Daybreak, you do have to be really quick on the trigger finger to take a feral out before it can do too much damage to you. Because you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting a vulnerable technician who's inside your base. And if you let a feral in, that technician is not going to be long for this world. So let's see here. We have got 8 minutes left. So if anybody has any last minute questions for us, any last minute questions for P1 Gamer, we would love to hear them. And actually, and we should mention, by the way, we'll call this out at the very end too, that P1 Gamer has got his own channel on Mixer. Is that where you usually stream?
Mixer and Twitch, yeah.
Mixer and Twitch? Okay, cool. So if you look up P1 Gamer on both of those platforms, you'll find him. And he does some great State of Decay 2 streams, as well as, whatever he wants, really. And he's been a really great... I mean, ever since I met him when we had our fan event here, at the release of State of Decay 2, I've been a big fan of his. So, folks, if you haven't checked out his stuff, you should totally go and check out his stuff. We really love him, and so we think you're going to love him, too. So.
Thank you, man.
Making him blush.
Oh, man.
Player 724 wants to know if we play 7 Days to Die. Have you played 7 Days to Die?
I have not yet.
I have played it, but I played it during its early access, and so it was a much simpler game back then. And I feel like I don't think I can really speak to the state that the game's in now. I know there's a lot of folks who've been playing that game for a long time who have become experts in it. I remember I got into a pickup co-op game one time, and the sheer amount of knowledge that person had about that game was ridiculous. What about you, P1? Have you tried out 7 Days to Die?
Not a big fan of it.
Oh yeah, it's not really your favorite?
I stick with State of Decay.
Well, we appreciate that. I'm not gonna argue with you there, but yeah, it's an interesting game. If you haven't played it, it's like it's kind of a Minecraft style world. It's like everything is built out of voxels, but they're complicated voxels that do their best to try to simulate sort of realistic shapes. Actually, you might be fascinated by the way the world is put together in that game. They're doing some really interesting stuff with their art.
Yeah, I've definitely got to check that one out. I've heard good things.
But it's really complicated though, because at night the zombies know exactly where you are and they are all coming for you. The person who was an expert who gave me a tour of it was like, "Here's how you build an entire underground base out of titanium." I was like, "Oh, that's what you need in this game is an underground base full of titanium." So, definitely if you're looking for a game that is extremely hard and that will challenge your ability to survive, 7 Days to Die is probably a good place to go. So UTZZ wants to know if we can restart the stream because they came in late. So we are going to wrap up in about 6 minutes, but because I've got a meeting to go to, we've all got stuff to do. But we are going to put this, one of my jobs towards the end of my day here is to put these videos on YouTube. And so if you go to our YouTube channel, which is Undead Labs, you can track down the videos of all of our past streams. We sort of cut them down a little bit so you don't get all the cruft at the beginning when we're just gathering the audience. You just get the real stream, and you can see all the answers to the questions and everything. And you can even watch the giveaways, which have happened in the past and which you cannot participate in. So that'll be a lot of fun. So Sarkov says that 7 Days to Die Alpha 17 is getting a big graphics update. So there's still an Alpha 17. Like I actually, it's so interesting, these games that spend a really long time being developed alongside their fans. I'm a big RimWorld player, and they just, I mean, okay, I'm not that big a RimWorld player. There are big RimWorld players out there that I don't want to try to compete with. But I love RimWorld. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And they just came out, I think, with beta 19, I think. Where they changed the caravan system a bunch, made just a bunch of upgrades. The whole end game is different now, and now I'm like, dang it, I've got like 900 other games I want to play. Now I have to just go back to play the crap out of RimWorld again. So that game was actually a big inspiration for a lot of the stuff we try to do with State of Decay 2, because it is very much about telling procedural stories, nice. Surviving with random characters you can't fully control. So that's the one that I definitely recommend. Very different from our game, though. There's no action combat. It's definitely a top-down strategic building game, rather than an action adventure game like State of Decay 2. Oh, so Genesis 7 has got like a final question for P1. P1, do you have a favorite combination of specialized skills to set up on a character you're leveling up, or do you just kind of go with whatever the game suggests?
Swordplay.
It's just all about the swordplay?
Swordplay. Oh yeah.
What about swordplay? What is it that you do with swordplay that makes it better?
Like this, it has some kind of animation to it. Like when you if you go behind a zombie with the RTX Exterminator, I think Exterminator.
Yeah,
you go behind, you do some kind of night kill or something like that.
And yeah, definitely, it has sort of a new tier of execution moves that it does.
Yeah,
so cool.
Love that. I love that one.
Do you ever cut the zombies off at the knees?
Yes.
Do that move?
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite thing to do with swordplay. We actually had to nerf that move in Daybreak, because people were creating a problem where they would, because the Red Talon soldiers have essentially all of the skills, and so they were going up there and people were just hacking the legs off every single zombie that came up to them, and then you end up with just like a sea of crawlers just out on the ground. And it would just gum up the works, and like the mode would kind of grind to a halt, and so we had to take those abilities away from the Red Talon characters in Daybreak so they wouldn't gum up the works and the zombies could keep moving. Now, if you recruit a Red Talon character in the base game, then they have all those moves. They can do everything that any other character can do. So that's definitely one reason to try to grab those Red Talon guys when you get into the base game with a bunch of prestige. Blaze Experience is recommending a few in the Mixer chat. He says that Discipline and Close Combat are a great combo. Backpacking with Resourcefulness is another great combo, because I think that maximizes your inventory space. So, so OG Brap wants to know, why is loot split up in co-op? It feels like it takes away from the cooperative experience. There was an interesting decision to try to make, and we went through a lot of different iterations of how it would work. Because there's the one version where everybody can loot all of the same containers, which has its own problems. Where like if two people are fighting over the same container, that can cause some weird like race conditions that make a mess. But you can make some rules. Well, if one person starts interact with the container, the other people can't. But then, like, what happens if you get like a co-op player you don't fully trust into the game? Well, they just go and vacuum up all of the gear and all of the buildings around you, and you won't be able to do much about it. And there was like, all these big open questions that we had, and so we figured that the best balance of all of our concerns was to make it so that when you go into a room together, each of your characters notices different things. Each of your characters has access to different loot, so that together you can accomplish more than any one of you could by yourselves. And so it was a way, and it was also a way to make it so that we could add more loot to the game when there's more players in the game, without having there be this sort of what am I trying to say? Like kind of a degenerate strategy where you just bring a bunch of extra people into your game and then you just get twice as much loot from it. We wanted to kind of split it up so that we could still put more things in the game for players to do, more activities, more interesting ways to spend their time, without necessarily overbalancing it so much that one player is just getting so much loot thrown at them that they can't even carry it home. And it's either, an embarrassment of riches or actually kind of an inconvenience. So that was some of the thinking that went into it. There's no guarantee though when you're trying to solve a difficult problem with a lot of trade-offs like that you're going to come up with the exact right solution. And so, we're definitely open to the idea that there might be people who feel like there's a different answer that would have been better for them. And so we're going to keep listening to that feedback and seeing what we can do. But it was definitely a hard problem without a really, really obvious answer. And with that, let's see here. Oh, so Bilbo, one last question from Bilbo, wants to know if I've played Rebuild 3, Gangs of Deadville. I have, just a little bit. I played the first Rebuild and got super into that, and it was actually pretty inspirational for some of the early work that I did on the State of Decay franchise. I haven't played that much of Rebuild 3 because, eventually after a while I end up just spending less time on games as I'm trying to play a wider and wider variety of them. But it is a really cool series, and I have a lot of respect for the folks that make it. And with that, we've got a couple of other questions we're probably going to have to cut off because I got a meeting that started 1 minute ago because I keep not stopping. So this is the perfect time that we just got back to base. We're sort of all ready to go.
Good spot.
So I think we are going to say goodbye to P1 Gamer. And everybody, again, this is P1 Gamer. There's his link to his Twitch channel. Go to twitch.tv/P1_gamer. That is his channel. He's an amazing dude. You guys should all spend some time with him. You'll learn a lot about State of Decay and all kinds of things from hanging out with this guy. So thank you so much for being here, P1.
Yeah, good playing with you. See you later.
No problem, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Much love, y'all.
And then I'm Jeffrey Card. This is Eric Spevacek. And thank you so much for coming in here, too.
Yeah,
and
of course.
giving people the knowledge about technical art.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
And we will see you all later.